Britain is in the throes of a serious housing crisis. As council houses are stripped away to make room for luxury properties, residents are finding themselves alienated and confused in their own communities. There are an estimated 610,000 empty homes in England, more than 200,000 of which are thought to have been empty for more than 6 months. Squatting was a valid option for living, and abandoned buildings became home to around 30,000 squatters in London. Squatting became a criminal offence in 2012 under Section 144 of the Legal Aid, Sentencing and Punishment of Offenders Act.
This land is your land, and this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
From the 1970s to early 90s, Mark Cawson was a squatter in London.
It was getting into art college, into Hornsey at Alexandra Palace, was a way of getting my independence and leaving home. There were, for students who were finding it hard to get organised and find places to live, there were people organising squats, just like that. The student union was very involved in finding empty buildings for students. Very radical and active, the student union back then. So there was always places to live at college. One of the places I moved into was a huge ex-blind hospital in Muswell Hill, which was amusing, very crazy, huge barriers for holding on to everywhere, so good for being drunk in, and lots of odd people in there trying to put roots down in London and make their way. Big community there. So that was a very interesting place. That was called Cranley Dean, had a huge garden. Of course that's now luxury development. And then a lot of my friends were in West London, and then I moved over to West London. Had assorted squats in Talgoff Road, Hammersmith, an old schoolhouse in Hammersmith, in Brook Green, sofa surfing, which is terrible because, you just feel like you're in the way, three nights is the max, so I moved around like that. I never really organised deposits and all that kind of thing, and I was in bands and lots of people having fun and being creative, and back then in those days you made your own fun, it wasn't branded and not sold and offered to you. There was lots of space and time. Oh boy, I remember being a high-rise council house in Ladbroke Grove, and the bailiffs came, and I was panicking about my stuff, so there was a gypsy site just down the road, and spoke to the head lady, and she got me a truck, an opened back truck to help me move, and all the stuff was shaking, and I was wondering if it was going to fall off the lorry, but we got there. But it was a crazy, luxury, huge house. We actually talked to the owners or estate people, and they said as long as we looked after it and kept an eye on it, it'd be fine. It was practical. There were people into the politics of it, and squatting was kind of linked with political agenda. But mostly, no, it was just a practical issue for people to have a roof over their heads. So I see them pop up and I see them come down. So they're short-lived. It will get even harder. It will get even harder, and the resistance to it will get stronger.
The shortage of affordable homes is continuing to increase. London's number of rough sleepers has increased by 79% since David Cameron and the Conservative Party came to power.
And I kind of wanted to explain why the Revolutionary Communist Group have been involved in this from the start. It's because this is a serious campaign. This is a serious campaign fighting for housing, fighting against austerity. And if we want to fight to change the system, this is how we have to do it. We have to fight for socialism. This is not.
Wael is currently a squatter in London.
I escaped the Poland and I came back here again, got myself in the system. Again, it was unpleasant, and I bumped into Marka, and he introduced me to the idea of squatting and invited to Camden Community Garden, which is like a squatting school.
Just off Agar Grove was a huge nursery for plants that used to supply for the movie industry and the theatre and photo shoots. It was a props but with plants, and that closed down and people moved in and began clearing out the mess and started putting together a community active housing centre really.
The place was evicted 3 years ago, but soon after eviction the original owner died, so the legal situation on the place went into suspension, and that's when it was squatted again. I used to practice parkour before, so the guys told me about opening squats, and that one of the people required to open a squat, or very helpful to have, are so-called climbers. So yeah, the climbers are the guys who climb the buildings, find an entrance to the building and open it from the inside. I've opened 6 or 5 squats. It's been within a period of 1 year, but we try to keep on finding new buildings and just explore, because there's always adventure awaiting.
My people, be free, yo. Sell your furniture, say no to the man. Convert a truck, live in a van. Landlords and rent ain't a part of the plan.
This particular place we're in is Old Finsbury Conservative Party Building Club. This is a place where the party members would have their parties downstairs in the pub area, and meetings in the upstairs rooms. It's as you've seen, it's filled with all the vintage, beautiful, time-traveling feeling items and artifacts from the past. We've done a project together, the Mothership.
Squat Studio.
Welcome to the Mothership.
Eco Projects.
Welcome to the Mothership.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last meeting was just amazing. He said, my name is Piers Corbyn, and yes, I am my brother's brother. I used to be on the barricades, front line, resisting squat eviction. I was like, oh my God, the woman from the council was sat there right next to him. I recommend do not contact the lawyers at all.
A message from the Mothership to planet Earth.
Among things that we do is opening squats for residential quarters. We open squats for parties. We've done a rave in the first building that we opened. I have friendly crews who make a living out of opening squats for raves. Some people I know some crews that open squats for stripping in buildings. So they get in the building and they take everything that's valuable out and they try to sell it as soon as possible. I'm not a big fan of stripping because it just ruins the place. It's funny and unfair at the same time that the people who break these rules and affect the image of the squatters most negatively are the people who are not affected by the new rules to come. Because if they are already breaking the rules, imposing or inventing more rules is not going to change anything. The only people who are going to be affected is the people who live by the rules already. So the good squatters who are trying to just find a home or have a life when they can pursue their goals out of the system.
Him has been squatting in London for 10 years.
I just occupy space, wherever that space may be, whether it be in a city, whether it be in a forest, wherever it be. I just occupy space. It's beautiful, you get to share space with people. There's music, there's people sharing food, there's people caring for each other. On a negative, there's music, people are sharing food, and people are caring about each other,
in the squatting communities, there's a lot of spiritually developed people and also very intelligent and educated people who see big values and advantages of this kind of lifestyle.
I think squatting's been around since back in the day. There's always going to be people like that don't like live in, the mainstream, that are going to live outside of it. There'll always be squatting. Always be squatting. For me, it's about the people who are aware of it, just putting their energy into that and not really worrying so much about the negative attention in the mainstream press.
We are here today to found a new political movement worldwide.
So there's two ways to experience the life. There's one with struggles and is full of strife. The other is easy and free, you see, and it's referred to squatting by people like me. The other way is paying rent, but you know what? It will eventually make you feel all bent, because you'll struggle and strive and soldier on, but then the shite will still come on. Because you're always going to struggle through to pay for the roof that covers you. But there is no real need, I have to say. You come down to Camden and squat with him. Hey.